One of the things that often come up with my clients is that they say that they don't have any control, and they feel almost like they're possessed because in that moment the urge is so overwhelming that every single tool that they've been given just goes out the window because they're just consumed with all those emotions, and so they are left helpless. I'll tell you a little story about a Greek hero. His name is called Ulysses. Ulysses is a captain of his ship. A very well-known story that he's aware of, that ships that went before him would pass this certain region in the sea, and then there's this area where there'll be maidens, like I think like mermaids or something, like sirens in the sea singing, and the singing would be so enchanting that the ships that would pass this area where the sirens were, these maidens, would go towards the beautiful songs that they were singing, but they would sail into the rocks and into their deaths. Ulysses knew that they would have to pass this part of the sea. There was just no avoiding it. And knowing the fact that all the ships that have gone past that area has sailed to their deaths, he really wanted to avoid it. He knew that no matter how much willpower that he would have to try and ignore the enchanting singing of these maidens or sirens, that he would not be able to control himself. So before they embarked on their voyage, he went about and did some preparation. So he told the crew that before they get near the area where these sirens were, to tie him up on the top of the boat and gag him and tie him up so tight, and instructed all his crew that no matter how much he fought, screamed, went crazy, that they should ignore his calls. And at the same time, he instructed the rest of his crew to put earplugs in their ears until they were way past into safety after they'd passed that area. And so because he did that preparation, when they did pass that area where the beautiful singing were coming from the sirens, none of the sailors heard the music, and he was at the top of the boat and everyone ignored him as instructed. They got past that area and they were safe and alive. So what's the moral of that story? So the moral of that story is that if you are suffering from binge eating or food addictions, and you know at that time you're not going to be able to resist or use your willpower or have any strength to fight against those urges, try and think of Ulysses and see what you can do to implement that in your life, so that when it comes to the crunch time, that you're able to avoid that situation happening. One of the things I recommend to one of my clients who often binges at exactly the same time every single day, and many of the clients that I've worked with have night binges, so they're fine during the day. So I say, you're not binging all day long. So on those moments that you can have control in your life, and use those times to help you at those times when you really do not have control. If you spend lots of money on binge foods at night, how about cutting up your credit cards and only allowing yourself enough money so that you've got enough money for grocery shopping? And if you have enough money for grocery shopping, spend it all straight away on all the healthy foods and keep it in the fridge. And then you have no choice. When it comes to the crunch time and when you need the binge, you then have no money. You're going to have to white knuckle it and put up with it because you have no money to go out and buy the binge foods. Another thing that you can do if you've got enough food in your fridge is, instead of spending the money on binge foods in the evening, spend all the cash that you've got left on things like journals or a nice tablecloth. Make your eating area very inviting. You are suffering from a self-sabotaging behavior like binge eating or food addictions. It really is the hardest part the first few days. So maybe organize staying with a friend for those few days so that you can get past the hard bit. I know that's going to be challenging for a lot of people, but that's another option. How about changing your eating around? So instead of having your meals in the evening, have your biggest meal in the morning instead. So by the time the evening comes, go to bed earlier. So those are just a few examples on how you can use the Ulysses story to help with your binges. So see what you can come up with to help you avoid those catastrophic moments.